First of all, B, before we get into this, I'm gonna keep it real because I hear this narrative. Everybody talk about he was a big like voice. A lot of people fuck. Listen, I get that, but don't act like hey, I didn't fuck with Brother Polight like that. I never bought nothing he sold. I never watched none of his content unless it was in passing. I never was like checking for Brother Polight. I'm gonna keep it real. Yeah. So I don't think everybody was. I guess he had a certain demographic. To me, I kind of seen who people that kind of followed Brother Polight, but I don't think everybody was like standing for this guy. Like I don't know. How do you think so? Like look, he had a like immense amount of clout over this, demographic of his age group.
No, I mean he was at one point in time he's fucking with high profile people. I'm telling you, he's fucking with Ron. He's fucking with high.
You never like was in like a consistent like you was checking for Brother Polight or listening to everything he had to say or like did you were you
no,
ever?
I would listen in passing.
Yeah. Cause it kind of looked like he was selling a lifestyle though more so than just to me. Then when I said that they had the things talking about his books, like I don't know how true it is, but they were saying all he would do was copy and paste shit from other books and put them all together and make one big book, and he was selling that to people and shit. So I don't know, but I can say I don't know.
So he was scamming it basically.
And then this is what he had to say in response, because I ended up going a little, deep diving a little further into the topic besides just the sentencing part we heard. The mom had made made a statement too.
Who?
The mom of the girl.
What she said?
And she went in, like, had a lot to say. Like, you know what I'm saying? The moment she never left her alone. And the moment he got her daughter away from her when this happened and all this other stuff. And she went in. So thank you for taking blames, go to this, that, and third. But he had a response, though. You understand? So I just want you to hear it and, see.
Blessings in abundance.
I don't know if this is a response or this is something he was filmed before he went in or whatever, but this is, he dropped this on his page.
Mother and the daughter and the prosecution dropped every single sexual charge. I'm saying it again. The mother, the daughter, my accusers, in addition to the state, the prosecution, all agreed they need to drop all of the sexual charges. So yeah, it's a victory, but it's bittersweet. It's a victory because I was facing life. No parole, no probation. Now you may say, how could this be possible if a minor was so-called molested and it was DNA evidence? And people say DNA don't lie. And I always said people do. Well, let's do this. The serologist, the expert that so-called found 6 semen stains amongst a headscarf and a t-shirt. Never mind the fact the whole rape kit said negative. They checked this girl for 5 different types of DNA, finger DNA, all types of different DNA. Checked her vagina, checked her mouth, checked her saliva, checked her excrement, checked her feces, checked her urine. Everything came up negative. You would think because of all the violent acts I was accused of, how I came inside of her, how I came on her face, how I bust her mouth open from penetrating her so physically, that there would be some kind of trace of something, some kind of DNA. But the rape kit came up all negative. So now we're in a conundrum. So how the hell how does the DNA just skip to a t-shirt and a headscarf? Well, the serologist that did the report that labeled it semen stains, when you got high-powered attorneys such as myself, then what happens is when you spend damn near 200 grand on your defense, you have the right to do depositions. We have our own private investigator. We have our own, guess what, forensics expert. So our forensics expert said this. Our forensics expert said, we want to take a look and see what's going on over there. So when our forensics expert took a look, and examined these so-called clothes with semen stains, we had some questions about how did you definitively conclude that that was semen in the first damn place. So guess what happens after that? A deposition is when we interview anybody that's part of the situation, whether it be the mother, the daughter, the people who took the 911 call, whoever. The prosecutor gets to sit in while we interview them, while there's a court-appointed stenographer that types up everything. The prosecutor can hear everything as it goes so they can make a determining factor if they got a case or not. Point in case, we couldn't interview the serologist, Stephanie Thompson, because she mysteriously disappears when we want to question her about how she came up with those results. I'll say it again. The person who said that there was semen stains on the headscarf and the shirt, despite the fact the rape kit tested for 5 different DNAs, considering the egregious acts that I was accused of, the rape kit came up all negative, which science would suggest I did absolutely none of the things that I was accused of. Science would suggest I did absolutely none of the things that I was accused of. Okay? All right? That's what science would suggest. Science would suggest that. But here's this woman talking about this DNA evidence. And then now when we call her so we can interview her, get a deposition and have it on record with my attorneys questioning them based on the findings of our forensic expert, she's nowhere to be found. So you know what we could do now? We could file a motion to dismiss the DNA for the case. That's what we could do. Because if we go to trial, we won't be able to cross-examine her because suddenly she disappears. She works for some private company and no one could find her. Now, all the while, the state been giving me opportunities to plead 20 years sexual offender, plead 15 years sexual offender. And I'm like, I wouldn't care if you gave me 1 day in prison. So long as you got that label registered sex offender on there, I'm going to trial. So long as you got that label there, registered sex offender, I'm going to trial because I can never make a plea to something like that. So guess what happens? The state says if we ever want to do interviews, depositions, if we ever want to get a deposition from the mother and a deposition from the daughter, all bets are off. They'll never do an agreement with me. They said they'll never do an agreement. Never do an agreement, work out an agreement or a plea. I said, I don't give a, my attorneys will tell you straight up, because when you see my attorney video, he's going to tell you straight up. From day one, I said, I'm never doing an agreement to any sexual charges. Interview the mother and the daughter. So they are the last of our depositions. We got the police body cams. We realized that the police report contradicts the affidavit that they did. The affidavit contradicts the interviews that they did on the body cam. So we got 3 contradictions. The story that the mother and daughter tells on the body cam, the stories that they told in the police report, and the stories that they tell on the affidavits. None of them work out. And I'm going to speak about that. But ultimately, we want to interview them. So when we interview them and do our depositions, have the prosecutor sit there, we already know where they're lying. We already know their lies. We looked at each of the 3 different types of lies they said for that night. So guess what's going to happen when we get to interview them? We're just going to ask them questions so they can contradict themselves. So when we go to court, we can ask them which story is true and why did you lie? So the prosecutor hits us again. Well, you know he's going to be facing life. We're in the week now where we got to interview the mother and daughter to get the deposition. So guess what happens 2 days before the mother and daughter are supposed to fly into town for us to get the depositions? They call. After a week ago threatening me, 2 days before the mother and daughter are supposed to fly out, they say, hey, we drop all the sexual charges. Huh? They say we're dropping all the sexual charges. And let me add something to this. Y'all heard this crazy story that I called a grown woman and asked if I could take her 14-year-old girl to a party. And y'all believe that bullshit. But guess what my text messages say? My text messages say, she asked me. Oh, hold on, let's reverse. Do you know that we broke up that same day? And later that, within a day, within 24 hours, she filed a criminal complaint? Let's add some more color to it. Do you know that the same day that I broke up with her In my text messages, it's proven she said she was going to destroy my life. She was going to fuck my whole shit up. So we have motive. Do you know that I wasn't the one that asked to take her daughter to a party after 2 a.m. in the morning? Do you know my text messages say? She contacted me and asked me to take her daughter out to a party after 2 a.m. in the morning, and I vehemently declined because I said, what the hell do I look like as a grown man taking a 14-year-old that obviously looks like a minor to a party? Y'all don't know that, though. All of this is in my text messages. Y'all don't know that, though. So you say, well, then Polight, then you should be clean. I should be, but unfortunately, the mother turned her daughter in. The daughter got high and intoxicated, and because I'm not the one that turned them in, now we dealing with child abuse and delinquency of a minor. If they could, so I'm like, let's fight it. Let's fight it. So my attorney's like, I just want you to understand that this child abuse in Florida, aggravated child abuse, from the child being intoxicated, they can give you 30 years in prison. I'm like, man, take the goddamn agreement. If, under what circumstances, if they can convince a jury that whether you gave her alcohol or you was aware that she was high at any point in time and you didn't turn her in, but since the mother did, you could be subject to 30 years. So I said, let's make a goddamn agreement, man, and let's work this thing out. So still got to sit down somehow, some way, but it is what it is. Blessings in abundance is been.
All right, man, you heard him. How you feel? Go ahead.
I just think that, man, why'd he cop out? I mean, he said the delinquency of the minor. I don't understand that. I don't understand, like, if all of that, why'd you cop out the 7 years and 10 years probation and then still got to take a sex offender class? Even though you may not have to register. Why would you cop out for? That's what I don't get.
According to him, he had a lot of arguments in his favor. If that, or that
yeah, that's what I'm saying. All those arguments you had in your favor, why did you cop out? And take 7 years in prison with 10 years probation. That can land you more time if you violate probation. That's what I don't get. Because if I'm not guilty of something, like I said, I'm fighting, bro.
Yeah, he had it. Listen, if you listen to what he said right there, that the lady, she's in, he found, they don't even know if that's this, that, or third, that's semen or not. All the shit in his phone talking about the mom texting him, he denying this, that, and the third, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get what he's saying. He could be convicted of this and still be facing 30 years, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not doing those 7 years for some shit I didn't do. Like if he would have had a little 3 months or something, I would have been all right. But then your argument, you could say something like risk of my life. But you got 7 years. You got to go.
7 years, bro. 7 years and 10 years probation.
Yeah, like you got to go. Ain't nobody doing that for some shit they didn't do, bro. 7 for some shit out of it now. If it's you and your different circumstances, I get it, like some street shit. But for some sexual shit, and all you worried about is the sex offender list, but you still got to sit down for 7 years?
Yeah, that shit's crazy.
In the public opinion, you still gonna look guilty just from sitting down for the 7 years. You understand what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
You're still gonna look guilty to the public, like, all right, you're not a sex offender, all right, but you over here had to sit down for all this time and be on probation and can't be around a minor with no supervision.
That's what they said?
Yeah, that's one of the stipulations of the probation.
That's crazy. See? It's more than meets the eyes with that case, bro. That's just his side.
It's just that.
Like she was intoxicated. Like, her mother ain't in trouble.
Exactly. If he got everything that he's saying.
That's
But
crazy.
you know, he had a going away party the night before he was in the club. You know what I'm saying? So you know.
He's a wild boy, man, because I don't know if I could take no 7 years for some shit like. And basically, he was just fighting this to not get to have to register.
Yeah, but a 7-piece is like, bro, you better off rolling the dice, homie. You want to sit down all this time for some shit that you got all this proof in your phone over? You got all this proof.
Yeah. High-powered attorneys.
A judge might not even give you 30. That might be the max you was facing. That shit might have been 5 or whatever. You feel me? But you said, like, judge might not even.
He said he had the high-powered attorneys, man.
200,000. He said.
200,000 for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Let's listen to the mom a little bit.
200,000 for 7 joints.
Listed as victim Nowak in the Zoom, and she's requesting, pursuant to Marcy's law, that her identity remain anonymous. So for that reason, she will not be stating her name, but she will be making a statement regarding the.
Where would it be?
It should say victim and then in parentheses Nowak. Nope, sorry. You see it when it says victim Nowak?
Excuse me.
Okay, yes, 1 second. All right, you may unmute, ma'am.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. All right, so what I'd like you to do is, well, you don't want to give your name. So at this point, just go ahead and you can give us an impact statement. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Michael Nowak. This is the first time I have spoken publicly about what you've done to my daughter and I. I have gracefully remained silent the last 2.5 years. 2.5 years of pain, shock, disbelief, PTSD, constant nightmares, and daily triggers. Trying to help my daughter heal when I'm not even healed myself. What you have done to my daughter, myself, and my entire family is inexcusable. You hurt us all. You made me believe that you were such a great man and you could do no wrong. You made me fully trust you, and for that, my daughter trusted you too. But the truth is, you're a monster, a demon. The very first time that I allowed you to be alone with my daughter, the very first time, and you couldn't even help yourself. You told me you was gonna be right back. You were going downstairs. We were gonna grab food and take vacation pictures. You told me that you wanted to have a one-on-one talk with her about loving and respecting me as a great mother that I was and am. And I actually believed you. I believed that you were going to bring her right back. I thought you were going to have this trusting conversation with her that you promised me. Her and I both trusted you. For a grown man to violate a child who trusted him, you should be ashamed of yourself. You plotted on me and my little girl. The entire time you knew what you planned to do. Isolate, intoxicate, then violate my baby. Shame on you. I trusted you to bring her right back. You were supposed to bring her.
I ain't gonna play too much. I don't want you to cry in the chat, man. So.
Yeah, that's wild, bro. So she released that after he pled guilty.
Yeah, that was her statement, like in the court, before he got sentenced after he pled guilty. Yeah, he said totally different from what he was talking about. This is
Definitely.
And you know,
why would you cop to something that you know? If you ain't guilty enough, I'm not copping this shit. That I'm not doing time for some shit. I'm gonna fight all the way, bro.
Seven is crazy.
See,
Yes, hit the like button, man. Subscribe to the channel.
that shit is crazy, bro.
So you know, maybe he comes home at 5. He could get back to what he was doing. You know, Rolls Royce Chronicles and all that. Like, or you know, he might still have supporters who hang their hat on. Well, he's not a sex offender. He don't got. You know what I mean?
He don't really. He still got to go to them classes.
Still got to go to them classes. In the joint.
Yeah. He still got to do that program. That's on his probation stipulations.
Mm.
He might have to go broke in that lawsuit. He definitely liable. Yeah, definitely liable in the civil suit in Florida. He might have to file for bankruptcy. I hope he got all his.
You only got to pay $25,000.
What?
Restitution. $5,000 before he go in, and $20,000 in payments when he get out.
If she
he's liable. Not that he was open. He is open to lawsuits though. Definitely, they said that.
Yeah, she can get more than that.
Yeah, he is open to lawsuits. They said by pleading guilty.
Yeah, he's in a kerfuffle. Nah, he canceled. You right, Jamie.
Oh, well, all right. So, all right, look at this now. Let's check this out real quick. This is aggravated child abuse. He 2 counts of this and a count of something else. Something on detriment of a child or some shit. The other one, some shit. This is 2 counts of this, and this is in Florida. So it says, under the crime, aggravated child abuse is defined as committing an aggravated battery on a child or willfully torturing, maliciously punishing, or caging a child, or abusing a child in a manner that causes great bodily harm, permanent disability, or permanent disfigurement. And it says, sentence may also sentence the person up minimum sentence of 48 months, but may also sentence the person up to the statutory maximum of 30 years. So 2 years, what's that, 12, 24, 4 years to 4 to 30. Aggravated child abuse can be committed in one of 3 ways.
So that's what he mean by he's facing the 30 years.
Yeah.
If he blew trial, he would have got 30 years. So evidently he knew he was guilty of something. That's what he copped out to. He knew he was guilty of something. Didn't he just say that she gave or the girl had weed and been drinking already?
Yeah. But being that he didn't report it, the mom did when they got back, he's open for that charge. He got charged with that.
That's a string of bad luck.
I was just saying. 200,000, you didn't even go to trial with them. You just paid them to just file some motions and hire a private investigator with your money.
Yeah. That was a $200,000 retainer.
Hmm.
Mm-mm. So like I said, man, if I was him, if I didn't do anything and I felt it that strongly and confidently, the way he elaborated in that video,
Yeah.
he definitely, like in the jury pool of 12 people, he definitely got 2 people convinced, more than 2 really.
What?
Like I said, like he, like
You think he could have won a trial? You saying like he could convince 2 people out of the 12? Like
mhm.
that's a possibility, but he didn't go to trial. So
He got 17 out of 30 and 10. The probation is just a suspended part of the sentence. He fucked up once. It could be over. Yeah, you're right. Because the 10 years probation is the kicker. That's
I
like,
don't know who he was looking up to. I wasn't in tune with him like that. Unless it was that dude from New York that had them other dudes, right? What was his name? He went to jail too.
who? Malachi, Dr. Malachi Z. York?
Yeah, he went to jail, right?
He in jail now.
That's who Polight looked up to?
Maybe, yeah. But that's Jacob York, they used to
Dude, yeah, in Atlanta.
Cameron.
He started in Atlanta doing parties or some shit, right?
He used to manage Cam and all that. That's his father. Dr. Malachi York is his father. He's from Brooklyn.
No word. Yeah, he was in the A. I know. I remember that name from the A.
Yeah,
Oh, that's his son.
Yeah, Jacob York is Malachi York. Son.
Hmm.
And yeah, they locked him up. They got like it's a show on BT Plus supposed to be kind of like an offshoot of. They try to, they say it was a cult and all that. So
Yeah, I remember hearing something like that. Because he did 2 counts to that and contributed to the delinquency of a minor. So, I don't know. Contributed to the delinquency of a minor.
yeah,
Like giving him some alcohol or something.
yeah, it could be giving them alcohol, it could be drugs. But he said that her mother brought her over there already high.
It says where an adult knowingly encouraged a minor to partake in prohibited acts of juvenile delinquency. What delinquency? Courage or contributed delinquent or induces a behavior to induce by act, threat, or command, persuasion, child to commit or perform any act following any course of conduct. Oh, I don't know. It might have been what were they in a it was happening in a hotel or something, right?
Yeah.
It might have, I don't know, man, he's a wild boy. If I was like that shit. He was trying to turn up allegedly. Partying.
Too much.
With the youngin. That's what they say.
2 o'clock in the morning. Like, come on, bro.
That's what they saying basically. He was in the telly trying to turn up. So I have music on. Yeah. And they caught his ass after he went home. And then they're saying, the state is saying they found semen. He's saying when they try to talk to the forensics expert that determined it to be semen, they couldn't find her. And then when they finally found her 2 days before they didn't find her, but 2 days before he was supposed to sit down with somebody, I don't know if it was the mom and the daughter or if it was the forensic expert, they offered him to take all the sexual charges off the table, but he had to cop out to 7 years.
Yeah,
he had to take a sex offender class in the joint.
And 10 years probation.
He said the probation could get terminated early, but it's up to the state and the court They both have to sign off on it together.
I don't know if I could do that, bro. I don't think I could do it, man.
Hey, I was
12 in the box, man. If I'm not guilty, and I'm still running with that narrative.
12 in the box.
12 in the box.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, bro. Win, lose, or draw.
See me where you see me.
I'm going out fighting. I ain't going out blogging about it and copping out.